Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome to a special two-game slate edition of the Stack Show. We're looking at Monday's wildcard slate. We got Philadelphia versus Tampa Bay, and we got Buffalo versus Pittsburgh. So we're going to take a look at those two games right after this. Hey, what's up, guys? Simon Edwards at Pumacom here with Heat Seeker Sports, and you're watching the Stack Show. And we have a special wildcard edition of a Monday Stack Show. We got two games on this slate now. That the Buffalo versus Pittsburgh game was postponed to Monday, and that's going to give us a additional slate that we can build lineups for, which is pretty good. Also, in addition to that, I've done more detailed analysis for both of these games on my show, Game Script. So subscribe to the YouTube page. I'm looking for 500 subscribers. I'm at 409 right now. I want to get to that 500 mark before the end of the season, so help me out there. And you get the detailed analysis from my show's Game Script on each of these games, in addition to every game of the playoffs I've been covering with Game Script. Had some success, had some misses, but I feel pretty good about the slate today, and I think we can do some good stuff with it. On top of that, make sure to hit the like button. Looking for about 15 likes to put out a shorter video for my Game Script episodes later on as we get closer to lock. I probably won't be able to get a shorter video out for the two-game slate just because of all the other videos I've been producing, but I will try to get them out for the Game Script episodes. Just get me to 15 likes, and I'll produce those before lock. So as far as today's slate, we have a two-game slate, as I mentioned. We got some interesting stuff going on here with weather, with injuries, and all sorts of stuff. Before we get into it, subscribe or sign up for an Underdog account using the promo code SEEK, SEEK, and they will match you up to $100 on your first deposit on a new account. And in addition to that, I will send you my playoff best ball rankings. Just hit me up on Twitter at Pumacom and let me know that you signed up using the promo code, and I'll hook you up with those. And it's been a super fun game to play. And we have the divisional round best ball, playoff best ball contest coming up soon. So we'll get into that. Another reason to subscribe to the YouTube page so you have access to all those shows that I've been putting out for Underdog. All right, so let's dig into this slate. Break it down by game. Pittsburgh versus Buffalo is an interesting game. It's a game where Buffalo is 10-point favorites. It's a game that was moved from a weather concern yesterday. They canceled the game on Sunday, and they had to postpone it to Monday. So this is actually a better situation for the Bills because weather was going to be a neutralizer in that game. And if you're a Bills backer, then this is probably a best case scenario that could have happened unless you actually bet on the game and had it voided. But for playoff best ball and stuff like that, this is a best case scenario because the Bills would have been in threat of losing because of the wind and the snow and everything that they would have had to deal with yesterday. We've seen it before with Bill Belichick rolling into Buffalo with a heavy wind game and just running the ball literally on every play and defeating the Bills because they were neutralized in the passing game. That scenario could have played out yesterday with Pittsburgh. And it's a good thing that the game was postponed to today because that's going to give Buffalo an ability to play the game that they want to play. And I think that is going to be an advantage for Josh Allen. I'm going to go ahead and plug him in as my quarterback. I have a little bit more faith in Allen over Jalen Hurts. Those are going to be the two most popular quarterbacks on this slate. And I have more faith in Allen because Hurts is playing with an injured finger. He's got that that club finger on his ring finger, the same injury that Russell Wilson had when his season went to crap a couple years ago, when I think he was playing at an MVP caliber pace, and then he messed up his finger, and he was not the same quarterback after that. So there's some concern with that injury that Hurts is dealing with. Even with all the rushing upside that he has, I still would shy away from him in favor of Allen, especially when I see the ownership on the Philly game is going to be the heaviest ownership, and I see Josh Allen projected as being the highest, or Jalen Hurts projected as being the highest owned guy. So I would lean Allen in that scenario. I don't like Baker or those other guys. I would just go with Allen there. I'm going to stack Allen with at least Khalil Shakir for now, and we'll take a look when we have a better idea what salary is going to be like. I'm going to go ahead and put all games on here. A.J. Brown is out. Devontae Smith is going to be popular because he's going to be the main target for Philly. But like I said, with the injury to Jalen Hurts, that might not be such a great play. But I do like Dallas Goedert. Dallas Goedert might be my favorite play on the slate. Dallas Goedert is in all sorts of good matchup here, on top of A.J. Brown being out. I think Dallas Goedert is going to be leaned on heavily in a good matchup against a team in the Bucs, who have been really bad against tight end this year, according to Rich Rebar, and his article is free, by the way, over on Sharp Football Analysis. So I recommend everybody check it out. Rich Rebar says that opponents have targeted their tight ends on 26.1% of their throws against Tampa, which is third in the league. As a result, Tampa Bay has allowed 6 receptions per game to tight ends, which is among the league worst. And they also have a 20.6% of the touchdown catches against the Bucs this year. So tight ends finding a lot of success against Tampa this season. It's not going to go overlooked. I think that Goddard is going to be the highest owned tight end on the slate, but he's also, for a reason that he is the highest owned guy. So let's take a look at defenses here. Eagles D is interesting. Bucs D is also interesting given the situation with Hurts. I don't hate going with that Bucs D. So let's do that. Just checking out something here real quick. All right, so Bucs D. Just with the situation, I think that the Eagles game, but I think that the Bucs D, with the situation that the Eagles are dealing with injuries and their inability to run the ball really well this season, I think that Tampa Bay is going to be more conscious of DeAndre Swift this week. If you look at the last game that they played, DeAndre Swift had 17.8 DraftKings points. He had 130 rushing yards in that game. And I don't think that Tampa Bay is going to allow that to happen again. Tampa Bay in general is really good against the run. They've only allowed 18.8 DraftKings points a game to running backs. We check out the ownership on DeAndre Swift, see if that gives us an edge. DeAndre Swift is the third highest owned guy. He's at about 43%. So not a huge edge there, but fading Swift is not such a bad idea this week. I think that there are better guys that we can target in this slate. One of the guys that I like is Jaylen Warren. I think that Jaylen Warren is going to get plenty of targets in this matchup against the Bills. I think that they're going to be playing from way behind, and that's going to take Najee Harris out of consideration, and it's going to put Jaylen Warren in there as a good run back for Josh Allen and that Bills passing game. So I'm going to put Jaylen Warren in there. I'm going to put Rachaad White in there too for now, because Rachaad White, Baker Mayfield's hurt, and I think it's going to affect his passing game this week. So I think White is going to be leaned on, in this game a decent amount. So I like Rachaad White this week. I think that, or in this slate, I think he's going to be, relatively high owned, but that's not gonna scare me away from him this week. If we're looking at maybe we want to do an overstack with our Allen play, let's get Stephon Diggs in there. Maybe let me check and see what his ownership is looking like. Stephon Diggs is looking like about the fourth highest owned guy on the slate, which, it's pretty high. But, I think if we're doing a double stack, I think most people are going to be double stacking the Tampa Bay receivers. So if we get Diggs in there, we double stack the Buffalo receivers instead. I think that's automatically going to get us a little bit different from the field. So I like that. Evans and Godwin. Recently, Godwin's been getting the most action. Evans, for the entire year, has gotten more action than Godwin overall. But I do think that Evans is the better play. I think that Godwin's ownership has gotten too high to exploit that scenario, because I think that everybody's kind of on to, Godwin getting more work, and they are not too much different in price. I think we go with Godwin if we can't afford Evans, but I prefer Evans in this matchup. That's going to leave us with about 3,200 in the flex. If we go down and check out our options, Cade Otton is a good option because, let's see, Tampa Bay, Philly's been giving up 12.6 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position. Just to compare that with what Goddard is getting from Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay's been giving up 16.1 DraftKings points a game to the tight end position, which is huge. And on top of all the other factors, makes Goddard like a really good play this week. Tampa Bay is also giving up 27 DraftKings points a game to the slot position. Philly is giving up 26.4 DraftKings points a game to the slot position. So both the slot receivers for Philly and Tampa Bay are going to have good matchups. That leaves Trey Palmer. Let's see what Palmer's price is. Let's see if we can get a discount on him. He's at 3,400. So if we wanted to plug in Trey Palmer and try to get that discount, or try to get that matchup, I think we can look at the defense here. I mean, we could go with the Steelers defense, but I don't think that that's going to be, the smartest move. This is where, we go down from Evans to Godwin. Because if we go down from Evans to Godwin, that helps us make sense out of Trey Palmer. It helps us get us that Buffalo Pittsburgh stack. We're going for the overstack on Buffalo. We got Allen, we got Shakir and Diggs, and we're running it back with Jaylen Warren. That's the only Pittsburgh exposure that I need. On the the Pittsburgh Philly Tampa Bay game, we got Rachaad White and Chris Godwin. We're running it back with Goddard. And then we also got Palmer and the Bucs D. So that's basically envisioning a Bucs win. That might not be the direction that you want to go. So we can always take out Godwin. We can put in Smith. If we wanted to do that, we're in that same situation where we'd have to go down from the Bucs D to the Steelers D. If we wanted to go a little bit different here, let's look at the prices of some of these running backs. If you wanted to go lower than let's see, one thing that we could do if we wanted to get out of Warren, we could go to Fournette, because Buffalo brought in Fournette for a reason. They brought him in because of his playoff experience. They brought him in because they don't like James Cook getting all the work. Latavius Murray was a healthy scratch last week, and that was an important game. I think they did that because he's wearing out as the season goes on. Another reason why they brought in Fournette. And Fournette, I think, is going to get a decent amount of work potentially in this game, especially with them playing in a lead. I would imagine that they would want to kind of be careful with Cook. Cook is a smaller back. He could get hurt. And, maybe they bring in Lenny Fournette as a grinder to kind of grind away the easy yards if they're playing with a big lead. And that goes with our game script of Allen with 2 pass catchers. We have Fournette in there too. That gives us Rachaad White as our other running back. It gives us Shakir and Diggs as our double stack with Allen. It gives us Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert as a little double stack of Philly. And we're running it back on the Philly side with Trey Palmer and Rachaad White. So let's see if we can get maybe a little bit better than Palmer. Let's see what other cheap guys we can get. Quez Watkins, Pat Freiermuth, Trent Sherfield, all options. Cade Otton is another option in that middle of the field that Philly has been weak against. Deontay Hardy is an option. We could keep Palmer in there and take a look at what we can upgrade in defense. Yeah, we got the whole plate in front of us for defense. We could go Bills D in this type of build. I like how that build comes together. The only wild card in this is Trey Palmer, I think. Everyone else pretty much has a secure matchup, a good matchup. Fournette would be another wild card. So we're taking risks with Fournette and we're taking risks with Palmer. But, those guys should also be, pretty low owned if you're looking for the ownership discount. Take a look at Fournette's ownership. Fournette, I don't even see him. Let's see. If we're looking at just running back ownership, let me try and get an idea of what Fournette's going to be. I don't even see Fournette listed. So maybe that is for a reason. Let me check out and see where his situation, if I just put him in. Yeah, I don't even see Fournette listed for ownership. So let me double check and make sure that he's even going to play. Let's see. Let me take a look here. If Fournette's out, we can pivot somewhere else to like Ty Johnson or someone like that if we need to. Let's see, Fournette. Yeah, Fournette's going to be – looks like he's going to be out in this one. He's not called up for the game. So let's get him out of there. And we'll put in Ty Johnson instead because they brought him in later in the season too. They also got Latavius Murray. Latavius Murray is at 4,300. Ty Johnson is at 4,200. So that gives you an idea of, the prices on those guys. Both those guys are cheaper than Fournette. So either one of those guys works. If we wanted to plug in, let's say we want to plug in the Bills D, leaves us with 4,500 at a running back position. That's Murray and Ty Johnson. Gives us the option of one of those guys as a substitute for Lenny Fournette. That's unfortunate that Fournette is not called up today because that would have been a great pick, I think. Johnson had concerns last week with a concussion, but looks like he does not carry any type of injury designation, which is good. Now, if you don't want to go that direction, I don't blame you. We can go back to that. Get off of Devontae Smith and go back to Chris Godwin, and then that gives us that Jaylen Warren play instead. Which I don't fault anybody for doing that. That also still makes sense. Gives us our Pittsburgh run back. Still got a Bills heavy stack. We got Godwin and Palmer and White for Tampa Bay. I mean, that's a little bit more Tampa Bay than I'd be comfortable with. You know what? We could go with Swift over White. If we go Swift over White, it gives us Swift and Goddard as our Tampa guys, as our Philly guys, and it gives us 6,300 for our final play. That gives us Jalen Warren still. So we can get Warren back in there in that situation and still have 1,100 on the table. So let's do that. Let's get rid of Palmer, and let's see where we can go now with that flex position. Let's see. It's a bunch of running backs. We got Quez Watkins as an option there. We got Palmer still. Palmer's probably still my favorite option there. If we do that though, I mean, we could get another Philly guy in there too, but then we have no Tampa run backs because we could upgrade from Godwin up to Devontae Smith. But I think ultimately you want to have at least one Tampa guy in there against that Philly pass defense. So maybe we maybe instead of that, maybe we upgrade to Evans. So we can go up to Evans in that scenario, and then we have 3,800 for Trey Palmer. So there we go. So that to me seems like a pretty solid build, because then we got Allen to Shakir and Diggs. We got the Bills defense. We got the run back with Jalen Warren. Then we got Philadelphia is represented with DeAndre Swift and Dallas Goedert. And then we're running that back with Mike Evans and Trey Palmer, which I think makes more sense because Godwin's traditionally run a decent amount of his routes from the slot. But, Trey Palmer and Godwin might be negatively correlated because of that. But this way, we got the pure slot receiver in Trey Palmer, and we got the pure wideout in Mike Evans. Godwin has been running a lot more out wide this season than he has in the past, but he is still doing 37% of his routes from the slot, which is a significant number. But if we got Palmer in there at 56% of his routes from the slot, I think that makes it sense to take advantage of that slot matchup while not taking away upside with Evans. But like I said before, you can put Godwin in there too if you wanted Godwin instead of Evans. I think either one of those guys could go off. Maybe do one version with Godwin, one version with Evans. That would make a lot of sense. Other than that, I think that pretty much covers the Josh Allen direction. If you wanted to go with a direction, maybe with Baker Mayfield. Let's say Baker Mayfield's not as hurt as everyone's leading on. Let's stack him with both his wide receivers. Let's stack him with Evans and Godwin. Let's go to running back, and let's get us Jalen Warren again. As far as wide receivers, let's get Shakir in there. I kind of like Shakir this week. Let's go with Godwin or Goddard in the tight end position. Let's look at defense. Let's go with the Bills D. We got Bills D and Shakir. We got a running back spot and a flex spot still open. 6,500 is what we're left with. Let's put Cook in there since we don't have Allen. Going to leave us with 6,300 for a flex spot. And as you can see, that leaves a decent amount of options for us. We got Swift. We got, I don't like any of these Pittsburgh guys, but you got Harris as an option. You got Pickens and Johnson. You got Gainwell. You got Kincaid. He's a pretty good option on this slate. But if you land in this situation, just make sure that you're getting a later time guy in that flex spot. With this type of build, we can pretty much do whatever we want. If we wanted to get out Warren and put in, just the overstack with Rachaad White, I don't know if I'd do that with Baker stacked with two receivers. But that leaves you with 4,600 in the flex, and you can get Kincaid in there. So that's a pretty good direction too. Ultimately, though, it's oh man, that sucks that Fournette is out, because I was really liking Fournette on the slate. I recommended him in my showdown video, which I recorded earlier before I knew about the Fournette situation. So if you watch that game script episode, make sure not to put Fournette in your lineup. I got to make a note of that for my YouTube comments. But that's it for this slate. Keep an eye out. I'm going to be putting out that Philly Tampa game script in a little bit. Right now, I got the Buffalo versus Pittsburgh game script already up. So make sure to sign up for a subscription to the YouTube channel. You do that by just hitting the subscribe. Basically, it'll give you alerts if you sign up for them on when these shows come out. Already got that game script show up, so you'll see that. Looking for 500 subscribers by the end of the season. I'm at 409 right now, so help out there. And also sign up for an Underdog account using the promo code SEEK, SEEK. They're going to match you up to $100 on your first deposit. On top of that, send me a direct message if you sign up at Pumacom on Twitter, and I will send you my rankings for we'll be on the divisional round of those rankings coming up for Underdog. Playoff best ball, very fun game to play. Definitely want to do that. Hit that like button. All right, guys, I'll put up the game script episode for Philly, Tampa in a little bit. Thanks.